You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound. A dimension of sight. A dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the Sabres Zone.
Hi, good evening everybody. Welcome to the Sabres Zone, the video on the channel that discusses what you had to say. So, I got a clip here, an interesting one. Let's take a look at it. And shout out goes to Bill Morgan. He says, Wayne, I don't want to be negative. Sorry, but don't feel like you can't say what you want to say here. God, guys. I don't want to be negative, but I heard Ryan Johnson was quoted as saying he avoids contact, 170-pound NHL defenseman. Help. If he said that, it could have been in a cocky context. I didn't read it ever, to be honest, but I'm not saying he didn't. But let's say if he did, Bill, maybe what he could have been throwing a joke out there. Who knows what it is? It could be I'm too fast, nobody can catch me, nobody can hit me. Who knows what he was saying? But 170 pounds, I'm not too worried about that size because we guys are in the day and age now, really, we're in the day and age, we're in the era where star players are protected, okay? This is something I guess I talk about quite often on the channel, guys, is we're in the era now where star players are protected. Bettman wanted to make this as a non-physical league as possible to protect the stars because the stars are the selling point of the NHL. And without the stars, and if they're out, tickets don't sell like they should. And really, that is, I think, the bottom line, really, when it comes to motive and the NHL protecting its star players. They want to showcase talent in this league now. Look, every era had talent. The 70s had tons of talent with Orr and Dion and Lafleur and Larry Robinson. I can go on and on about the players, Trottier, Bossy, just tons of great talent back then. And people say goaltending was lousy back then. Not really, no. I think what it was is that the position at the time, like Tony Esposito was a phenomenal goalie, folks. Phenomenal. He was. You know, he probably was the best goalie of that era, really. Bernie Perrin was outstanding in his prime. Ken Dryden, of course, was awesome. We can go on and on about great goalies and how they showed up come playoff time, like Billy Smith is another one. That's early 80s and on, really, though. So the point about the goaltending I'm trying to make is that back then, God, let's face it, guys, goalie pads weighed like 50 pounds each. You know, the game was evolving. As little did I know back then. I still love that look, that leather look, that old leather look with the banged up pads and the blockers and everything. And I still like that old look. And some goalies even sport it now. I see once in a while where, you know, they make it look like it's old school. But today's equipment, guys, is feathers. I couldn't believe when I picked up a hockey stick for the first time in years. I picked one up. It's like, oh my God, this thing weighs nothing, you know? Skates, everything. Everything's evolved. The game has evolved because it's changed, you know? And I'll tell you what, this is going to look like what's going to drive some of you folks nuts, some of you younger folks, in 20 years from now is when that generation looks back at this era and says how crap hockey was now when you have all these memories of this time. That will happen. That's what happens generation to generation. So I think here, if we're going to be honest, really, I'm not too concerned. I'm just not. If he's not physical, that means he likes to skate the puck. But I mean, his numbers don't say he's exactly an offensive blue liner, really, you know. So I don't know. I have to see him in the NHL to make an assessment, my own personal assessment, that is, on this. Let's say if he is, Bill, no matter what way you cut it, we're in a league now that it's the non-contact era. It just is. It's the non-contact era. Teams, look, I'm watching teams when their season's on the line throwing 20 hits in a game. Like Dallas, the other game. I mean, I don't get it. I just don't. When you're out there and you're trying to survive, you're hitting everything. That's how I was brought up to play the game. You just... anything in your sights, you take it out. You know, you just take it out and you think later, but eliminate the opponent as much as you can, right? And I think that the days for old school stay-at-home defensemen are by Bettman trying to get them out of the league eventually and just make it a showcase of talent where it's offensive swing, offensive swing, offensive swing. And guys, if the NHL becomes like that eventually, how boring is that going to be? Everybody's going to play the same system. I used to like when there was, you go into a place like Edmonton, okay? Edmonton were way ahead of their time, folks. They were, when you think about it. That team came into an NHL that was defensive-minded, physical-minded, and also goon-minded. Yes, of course they were goon-minded, I realize that. And they didn't care. The Oilers just played offense, 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 offense. That's what they did. But come playoff time, they had the ability to switch it off and play a defensive structure if they had to. And that's what separates great teams to the greatest teams. That Oilers team was a great team. They were. Were they as great as the 70s Habs? I'll never say they were. There's just no way. The Habs had so much strength, folks. There was no weakness in that dynasty. There was none. The only weakness was that Grunman they wanted to give Grunman the GM over Scotty Bowman. That was the weakness. That's what blew it up finally. That team only won 4 cups in a row. We were lucky. That team could have won 8. That's how good they were. The Oilers couldn't put 3 together. Why? They weren't defensive structured like the Habs were. They just weren't. They lost to a pretty inferior Calgary opponent. The Calgary team was good, full of Hall of Famers, sure. Were they as good as the Oilers? No, not even close. That's why when I look at something like this, okay, a comment like this, I don't really panic because Phil Housley wasn't the biggest guy in a big giant league and he prospered. Okay, that's just one example, Bill, I'm giving you. Phil Housley was a little guy, wasn't big. It seemed like he had jets on those skates of his, and he managed to slap out a Hall of Fame career. And he wasn't the most aggressive guy in the ice, but my goodness, he was ahead of his time, and Scotty Bowman said it back then. You might recall, Scotty Bowman said that this is going to be the way of the future in the NHL. It's not just Bobby Orr. There's going to be other guys that come in and play this kind of game. Bobby Orr maybe was the creator. I mean, we can go back to like Doug Harvey and all sorts of great defensemen, right? But Bobby Orr was kind of the innovator of the offensive swing defenseman. The problem is a lot of folks just think Bobby Orr was offensive. My goodness, he was tough as nails. He was the whole package. He could fight. He could do everything, this guy. He could handle himself off the ice perfectly, all of it, just everything. The perfect package of a human being to want on your team, So I don't know. What's he going to look like? What's Ryan Johnson going to look like? Is he going to disappoint? Is a good question, Bill. Is he going to disappoint? Because we've created this illusion that we need this guy, we need this guy, we need this guy. We have to get this guy signed, right? For so long that now that we got him signed, are we going to be underwhelmed when he comes on the ice and he's kind of invisible in the beginning? Because he will be. I don't think Ryan Johnson's going to come in, guys, and star right away. That's not realistic. He wasn't a top 5 pick. Let's not forget that. But his worth might be more now that he's older. That's the thing. We're not throwing him on the ice at 20. He's already going to be 22. So, there's that to take into consideration. His size, I'm not too concerned about it. I'm just not. But I want to confirm he's actually that light. That surprised me. I would have figured myself, honestly, a little bigger. But look, as this unfolds is the only way we're going to know. We're only going to know when we see him in a Sabres jersey playing. I mean, we might just say, oh my God, this guy's amazing. They got him listed here as 6 foot 173. It's about the same, But he's 22, so his height is peaked out. He's not a big defenseman. No, he's not going to be a big defenseman. And look, his numbers, in the university hockey aren't bad. But again, what strikes for me is his plus minus, how it just stayed steady, after his rookie season. So we'll have to see. We got to see what he does, guys. There's no way to know. There's no way to know till he puts on a Sabres jersey, goes out there and gives us an 82 games that we can break down, dissect, talk about at the end of the season. He might not be that defenseman that we think he's going to be in the first year. I think realistically, guys, we got to sit back and say, okay, hold on. Hold on. We don't want to put this guy on a pedestal before he does anything. But we're loaded on the blue line with young talent, and this is just another stud. The way I look at it, he's not the answer physically, no. I think all of us knew that already, Bill. He's not, but we do got to go out there and get some sort of a bruiser defenseman, which we have one with Lyubushkin, we do. But I would like to get another guy like that, maybe that's higher level of talent, just higher level, nothing against Lyubushkin, but a higher level of talent, a guy, potential all-star, get him on our team and see what it costs and throw him into the mix. And to find a stay-at-home defenseman that can be like an all-star also, that's rare. That is rare. I want to say that. That's rare. So I don't realistically think we can accomplish that in the off season. We have to see what we do. You know, Adams might be able to swing something I'm not expecting, so I'm just going to leave it there. It could be a trade. I don't think it'll be in free agency for some reason. I think we're going to have to go a trade. You know I said in the other video we should go free agency to get the defenseman and get the goalie in a trade. It's hard to do, guys. You know what? I'm going to say this particular off season, I don't find a ton of appealing free agents. Maybe it's just me this time around. I don't know. All right, guys, I've yacked enough. Done for this one, Bill. Stay patient, I say, with the young man. That's what we got to do first. We have to get some sort of a deliberation. If you're in a court of law, you got to get something concrete, some sort of evidence before we can break down what this kid's all about. We have to see that. All right, guys, see you in the next one.
Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to ensure Dimension access.